Rector Magnificus, esteemed colleagues, families, and friends. Thank you for coming here, attending my lecture on food design, quality matters. Today, I'd like to drive you in a small journey along the past, the present, and the future of these disciplines that require a broad science underpinning the creation, the ideation, creation, and development of new foods. Let's start with a little bit historical perspective. For many centuries, the innovation in food processing and the food products development were just driven by technological innovation, or maybe technical innovation. From the very beginning of the human history, just the availability of cut instrument and then of pottery, they just make possible to realize new food. And then with the beginning of Neolithic era, we have cereals and the needs of mill the cereals, and immediately after, when it was possible to have some food exceeding the necessary consumption, we need how to store this food. So, for example, your nice Gouda cheese at the beginning was just a smart way to store the excess of milk. And the same could apply for fish or for meat production. Also the use of spices. It's basically a way to store better the food. And the use of spices for many centuries was so important that actually the fortune of the merchants, Italians and Dutch merchants, this was really driven by the possibility to have to commerce, to make the market of this spice. The main starting, or the starting point for us of the modern technology, or food technology, was the discovery by Nicolas Appert of the sterilization procedure. So canning industry start to make product that can be available for with a long shelf life, so for a long time, and immediately after, with some years after, with the refrigeration and distribution possibilities. Now it's possible to have a lot of food available for most of the people all around the world for all around the year. The only limitation is just your wallet, the possibility to spend, or the socio-economical constraints that sometimes make this not possible. But from our viewpoint as a food scientist, as food industry, we are here. We can provide all the kind of food for everybody. So, in the food design, from the food design point of view, which is the important point, that is that while before it was the technology that decide the availability of products. So the consumers goes to the market and they can just buy what is offered for sale. Now the consumer can decide. So we can everybody go to the market and is free to decide what they want. And how you decide? You decide about considering first of all the price, particularly if you are Dutch. And then they should be good, so the pleasure. They should be easy to use, so the convenience is important, and the healthiness. This is an issue that I worked a lot in the last years, and it will be part of my talk today. So at food quality and design, one of the main points that we want to answer, our main question, is how to design new foods that can take into account all the quality parameters contributing to its identity and possibly to its success. And to do this, we work using an approach that we call the food chain approach. So in the food chain approach, what we can do is just to segment the problem of product development in different parts, considering the food identity and the other parts, so the consumer, the people working with the food also. So in this slide, you can see how we can select a different raw material, or we can improve the raw material, for example, by agronomical practices. We can work on the processing technology, so how this food is processed to make the final product. we can work on formulation, so how we can do the final product, for example, also considering the packaging of the product. And then there are the human part. One is the physiological targets, what this product do in our body. And then there are the consumer parts, so how consumers react to this product and how they can, how they feel the product. And finally, there is another category of people that is very important for us, is those working on the food chain, so the food players. Those are working and how they behave respect to the product. For this very last part, we have at the FQD, it was developed an approach that is called the techno-managerial approach. So those who are the manager of food quality. So in this approach, the point is that both human behavior and food behavior together make the final goal, make able to reach a certain quality. I don't want to go into the detail of this part, because actually I'm very confident that in a few years you will have the opportunity to attend an inaugural lecture of a professor of food quality management. So let's go back to this slide, and I want to make clear that we can approach this food chain in a linear way, starting from the raw material and then going on, as I mentioned before. But we can also do in another way. We can start, for example, for a processing point. We want to use a certain technology, and we can see how this technology can work better, for example, changing the raw material or the formulation, or how consumers react to that specific technology. Or the other way around, we can start from the consumer's point of view, or from the formulation. So from this network of arrows, you understand that it's quite a complex story, it's quite a complex matter. And this is exactly our challenge, to manage the complexity. Food quality design means the ability of managing complex situations, so require not linear thinking and the ability to be really holistic and multidisciplinary. And this is a big challenge. Why? Because you have always to make a balance, the so-called T-balance, means the balance between the broadness of the approach and the deepness that is necessary if you want to do research at the academic level. And this is not always easy, and we face in the past with this discussion with many colleagues, how we can be enough deep in a certain argument. And a good answer to this question is to develop a unique tool. For example, the modeling tool, my predecessor, Tini Van Boekel, developed a nice tool of kinetic modeling of formation and disappear of interesting compound, target compound. In the future, we want to work a lot with this system dynamics. That is a broad way to approach complex situation, and we are starting now a large project with the other professor in the food department, exactly in this respect. So managing the complexity using the system dynamics. Furthermore, you have to think that for its nature, the chain approach is not limited to one type of food. I mentioned broccoli up to now because at FQD they have been working a lot on broccoli in the past. But for example, I work in using cereals or coffee chain. And there is a part of our group working with the milk, so they use start from the composition of milk and then what this composition, differences in composition means on the quality and on the effect on the